Episode 8 with the mates. Last episode we talked about content strategy, which was piggybacking off of keyword research. And so now that we identified basically that we're going to go after, if you haven't seen the last video, definitely want to watch that before you go into this, which is we identified types of pools as the bucket that we were first putting our strategy into. And so today we'll be jumping into actually taking that and turning it into briefs, which is essentially a nice tidy outline for any writer to come in and, complete that and get that done. So Chris, I believe the Welsh Wizard will walk back how to do that and give us a whole detailed breakdown. So I'll kick it over to you.
Yep. Let me just get my screen set up, guys.
Still getting used to the Welsh Wizard.
Yeah, sounds dodgy. Yeah, so what we're looking at is basically, this is what we would pass on to the writer.
Want to zoom in just a little bit?
Yes, no problems.
Yeah, there we go. Now we're cooking.
So this is what we pass on to the writer and whoever's uploading to the site. So we've got our meta title, a meta description, H1, pretty much the same as the meta title. The slug for the URL, which is basically usually your top keyword. This is our list of keywords. So in the last video, we kind of did a quick version. So I went back and did it properly and pulled in all the keywords that we can possibly rank for. The reason...
And when you say keywords that we could possibly rank for, is that across the site or is that for this page?
For this specific page, right.
Gotcha.
So the reason you're seeing some of them highlighted in yellow, I'll explain the different colors shortly, but some are highlighted yellow because I think this might require a page of its own. So I think we can probably rank it on this page, but if not, we'll monitor that and we'll change it and create its own page kind of thing. So what we've got here is, you can see the color coding, blue, purple, and red. So blue means I've put this keyword into a header in the brief. So something like this, you can see types of pools is there.
Right. Are those all H2s or will there be some H3s?
There could be H3s and H2s, possibly H4 sometimes, but not in this particular case.
Got it.
So purple means I've asked the writer to use it in the body text. Hang on. Pool types. So you can see here, I've said use the phrase swimming pool types, which is obviously a longer tail of pool types. Red, so you're not going to try and include everything. The article is just going to get ridiculous if you try and include, every single keyword. So, obviously these ones with the really high traffic, we want to get those into headers if we possibly can. Usually long tails of it. So you see, if I look at types of pools, you've got different types of pools. What are the different types of pools? Types of pools for backyard. So, our first header is just crushing it. We're kind of hitting maybe 5 different keywords there.
So when you say, just to quickly back up a second, when you say the red ones, what's signifying the red ones? What is the main reason why you've colored them red as opposed to trying to get them on the page? Is it just volume or is there other stuff there?
Well, they all start as red, basically. So as I insert them into the article, when I put a blue in, I'll color this blue here, and I'll also color it blue in the article. So our writers are trained. They know if something's blue they can't change that. They have to use that phrase kind of thing. So, they can change black text, same with our clients, if they don't agree with the way we've presented that header. They can tweak it as long as they keep the blue. Obviously, that's what we're trying to rank for, so we can't just take that out of the articles, headers.
Yeah.
So what we're normally doing is just trying to get everything in once pretty much, apart from the biggest keywords, which I'll tell them, like we'll have a little intro section and I'll tell them to use the most important phrase in there, which is types of pools. I just told them to use the long tail in the opening there. The reason being, if you ever see like an article being shared anywhere, or even on your own site where you've got like an excerpt linking to the actual article or page,
right,
it's kind of got that main keyword in there, so it just helps a little bit with relevancy. We've also we started with the internal links, so you can see we want to link to the home page. The first keyword we identified, of course, was Austin Pool Builders. So we're telling them somewhere in this article, we want to link to the homepage with Austin Pool Builders. And, we'll have a plan for that. So, we might link to it with that text a few times. It might be pool builders in Austin, whatever kind of keywords we come up with for that page. So, when we're linking to this page from other pages, for example, we're going to use types of pools, different types of pools, types of swimming pools. So we're mixing it up all the time when we're trying to help this page rank.
And will you, for all of these pages, I mean, I know this one you said we're going to link back to the home page, but for all those pages, just in case whoever's following this, are you going to be linking everything back to the home page always?
Pretty
Internally?
much, I would say. Yeah. Because
Okay.
most of the content we're going to do is going to be about pools in some way, shape, or form. And, whether it's something like a CTA at the end, contact Austin Pool Builders, or work with the best pool builders in Austin, whatever that anchor text is, we'll find a way to wangle that in just to help with the rankings. So you can kind of see, just looking through, these headers, you've got types of pools here, different types of pool design, different types of in-ground pools. What type of pool is best for me? So, this is an actual keyword we can rank for from the list. And gives us an opportunity for the CTA. Go on.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I see in that list up there where it says type here, describe it here with example image. So if I'm a pool builder and I don't have like the correct image, or maybe I don't build those types, I don't build a geometric pool. I know we talked about that last time, but I want to include an image. What would be your suggestion on best practice to populate with an image?
Well, we could look at images off of other sites and just give credit, kind of thing. There's sites where you can kind of buy images and what have you.
Would you do one with AI?
Yeah, you could possibly do one with AI if you wanted to. I don't know.
Okay.
AI's, in my experience, hit and miss, but I've seen some really good results as well. So yeah, you could probably do that if you wanted to. That's a good idea. And finally we got conclusion. The writer just delete two of these and just leave what they wanted, or whatever they wanted to put in there, just basically some sort of outro. But you can see we're not like overusing, like we've got types of pools in the meta title, meta description, H1. But when we get down to the actual article itself, we're like using it once, twice, once in the body text here. And that's pretty much it. You're really not overdoing it at all. when you give the briefs. And it's something you've got to hammer into your writers, really, because a lot of them are trained to start using it all the time, you know. And you've probably seen it yourself when we've got new writers working with us, they'll try and keep putting those main keywords in all the time. So that's not really something you should do other than to use. So there's a few tools out there like this. We're using Neuron Writer, which is just basically a tool that examines the top 10 or the competitors you've selected according to, I think it was the video, not the previous video, the one before that, we went over competitor selection, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we've kind of basing it off of people who are providing the service like us and are under a certain DR level. Obviously, it's not a service in this case. It's just a blog post, basically. So you're just looking at people under DR 70. Like the spruce you can see in here. I've ignored them. There's something, I don't know what DR they are, 80s, 90s, I'm not sure.
They're pretty high, yeah.
Yeah. So we don't want to look at them. We want to look at the low DR sites that are still ranking well. And the reason is if they got low DR and they're ranking well, then on-page SEO is probably pretty good.
Yeah.
So they're the guys we're going to take notice of. This will give you a word count as well. And normally you can base that off of the selection you've got. So, we could go with something like 700 here. This one's 800. I've given them a bit more leeway with word count and said 1,500 because there's a fair bit of content to cover. But, really you want to be looking at getting somewhere in the same ballpark as these ranking pages that you're looking at as well.
Yeah, you're basically using these as benchmarks to be like, here's the lowest hanging fruit that we could potentially outperform. And so we want to make sure that we're not missing anything when we're going to publish this that our competitors are already covering or doing.
Exactly.
Chris, how important is a tool like Neuron Writer? And is there any other alternatives, or can you do this without this kind of tool, or where do you see this being as an importance level?
It's nice to have. I would say you could just take a look at the competitors manually and put, you could see how much of a word count they're using just by going to wordcounter.net, and you can just paste it in, and this will give you a count of how much content they've got on the page. What's nice to have is, you've kind of got all these different things that are being mentioned over and over again on these competitors we've chosen. So you can see like types of pools I've put in here, and it's not even showing up here at all. So even though that's the biggest keyword, people are hardly using it really. So that kind of gives you an idea of why you shouldn't be keyword stuffing anyway. But yeah, as you kind of put stuff in, let's take the word require. So I don't think that's going to, really do a ton for us regards to SEO. It's more of a demonstration that as you type it in, this is going to keep an account of how many times you've used it. So you're not getting, you're not overusing keywords. This is going to tell you if you're overusing something as well as underusing it. So you can see it's got pools are built, for example. It's got 0 out of 1 uses. So what you want to be doing is just getting this into the green. You don't really need to try and push it to 100%. It's not necessary. The initial analysis, what we're doing here, is kind of a lot more in depth than 99% of people are doing anyway. So we've got a foot up on most of them just by knowing what we can rank for, and where some pages are missing some of these topics perhaps or keywords. We've got them all. We've examined all of those pages, and we kind of figured out what Google thinks can rank on a page that goes after types of pools. So we're adding a lot of relevancy on the page as well.
Yeah, nice. So the tool is going to save you some time for sure, and then also give you guidance on the different types of keywords that you should also be mentioning, in a nice, easy to understand way when it goes green, essentially, when you're writing your content, which is quite helpful. Yeah, Neuron Writer, that's called, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good piece of kit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, the important use of this really, excuse me, compared to other tools is that it lets you make a selection. It doesn't just take the top 10. Some of these tools just give you the top 10 and that's it. And if that happens, you're examining the spruce. Their SEO might be crap. You know what I mean? They're ranking because they're the spruce. And you have things like Reddit in there, right? Yeah.
A question. So we were comparing lower DR sites. Our site is a new site, so I guess it has a lower DR. What happens if the site that we were working on was a high DR? Would you compare it against high DR sites, or are you changing anything there?
No, I'd still look at low DR sites if I can, because I want to know.
Right.
The thing is with the high DR sites, they start ranking for terms, not always, but sometimes you'll kind of see they're ranking for a ton of stuff. Just it's like some sort of like trust threshold with Google, and it's usually around where you see DR 70s. So Ahrefs is quite accurate in that respect. You know, once you get to these DR 70s, you know how you're opening up the sites and looking at the keywords they rank for. When you're doing that for the lower DR sites, you see it's quite low, and you start doing that on the high DR, and it sometimes jumps up into, you know, say these were like in the 80s, 90s, 40s, some of them. When you're opening up those big sites, sometimes it goes into hundreds of keywords. And if you do the research like this on those other keywords, you see they require their own page kind of thing.
So it's anomaly. Is that how you say it? Anomaly. That they're ranking for all those. Yeah,
it's like some sort of trust thing is going on. And when your site's like DR 70 plus, Google will push a lot more traffic towards you.
Right, yeah.
Or a lot more
so
rankings.
For most small businesses, they won't ever be able to compare themselves to those types of sites then, really, either.
No.
It shouldn't be, you know. Yeah.
Like I say, even if I was working on the spruce, I'd still be looking at these low DR sites, because the key here is that on-page SEO is good, or better than everyone else who's going after these phrases, should we say.
Yeah, got it.
All right. Well, that's content briefs in a nutshell. So basically, we typically will bang out one of these, including one for, you know, the homepage. We also do that. Looks very similar. We won't go through all that, but this is kind of a rinse and repeat process. And then go ahead.
There is a little bit more to touch on, actually. Sorry, Colin.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Just on things like.
I love a surprise.
So this, for example, you know, the first thing people are going to pick out here is that's over 60 characters, right? You know, you've got SEO tools, Yoast, Rank Math, what have you. You put them in. It's going to tell you this is too long. But the key is here, we're looking at, you know, types of pools is our big one, right? Different types of pools. What are the different types of pools? They're all long tails of it. So we're going to boost our rankings by having that in the meta title and H1. Probably the two most important places on the page to get your keywords, right? But then you've got this X, which is, you know, say we find 20 different pool types. Yeah, swimming pool options. So, you know, why does that really make a difference? Why don't we just leave it at this? And the reason is, so just by having swimming in here, for example, you can see swimming appearing in quite a few of these keywords, right? So just by having that in the H1 and meta title, you're going to rank better for any of these phrases and any other long tails that ever pop up. You know, you're going to rank better for this just by having swimming in there.
Right.
So, you know, there's
So we're saying it's more
here.
important to you let yourself override the fact that maybe a tool like Rank Math or Yoast or whatever plugin you might be using saying that this is too long. Like that's a time to ignore it, especially when you can pick up some of these other long tail keywords by just including that little bit of extra text.
Yep. Yeah. So you're going to rank better for these ones with options as well. So, you know, when this goes into Google and you see it in the actual SERP, it's probably going to get cut off about here. Or here, perhaps. I haven't got an exact count on it. But I always prefer to go for the longer one first and get these, you know, the words that are repeating over and over again, get those in here. Look at what's actually bringing in the traffic. If that is a concern for you and you want to clean up the meta title so it does fit, you can. But doing it this way, you're kind of going after more phrases, and you can figure out, okay, this is bringing in traffic. You know, using options, perhaps not so much. It's not bringing us in so much traffic or none. In which case, you can trim it down and keep the things that are working. Again, that's a case of looking at Google Search Console and you know, figuring out what's working for you. You know, if you're using any type of tools to follow the path of where they're coming in, which keywords are coming in through, and what's converting, you can use that as well.
Yeah, I think that's one of the kind of cool things that you kind of touched on without saying it directly, which is like, this is like not necessarily do the most you can, but it's like, we're going to put some extra stuff in here and we're going to go and just try and get as much, we're going to set ourselves up to get as much data and feedback, in this case from Google Search Console, to really see what this page is bringing in impressions wise and clicks wise. And then you can always go back, and that's the whole optimization process, is making those tweaks and dials. But, you know, setting yourself up to actually get as much data incoming and not, you know, cutting yourself short by excluding some of these things in the meta description is kind of like one of the key insights, I would say.
Yeah, we've kind of had clients quite recently actually who've said, you know, trimmed it back, and it results in a drop of traffic. So, you know, it's up to their preference, but you've got to point out, okay, you've put a meta title that you like and H1, but you're losing traffic because of it. So they're going to weigh up the cost versus, you know, the traffic versus it looking good on the SERP. And that could, in fact, affect the click-through rate, you know, so there's no harm in doing those types of tests at all. But you've got to be aware of what you're doing and keep an eye on it, you know?
Yeah, because it's one thing to like give Google what it wants to get you showing on the page, but at the end of the day, it's up to the person behind that keyboard to actually click on your title. So it's a good thing to take into consideration. Absolutely.
Yeah, and then kind of from there, you know, you're just building out a page as you normally would, using these keywords, especially the important ones in headers. So, you know, all these types are going to get filled out by the writer. What I normally do is, you know, just pick out something that's not such high traffic or high traffic keywords like types of backyard pools.
Yeah.
And I'll just tell them to use that underneath, just like one keyword maybe for every header I put in. So we're not ramming tons of keywords in there and they're different every time. You're not repeating keywords at all, almost, you know.
Right.
Like maybe the main keyword 2 or 3 times. So you can see this types of backyard pools matches this header, right? So different types of pool design. So, you know, different styles of pools.
Yeah, it's just semantics. It's like the same idea, just semantically different.
Yeah. Materials for different types of in-ground pools. What are in-ground pools made of? In-ground pool materials. You know, it's very, very simple. What type of pool is best for me? And again, we're just getting something a little bit different in here. Kinds of pools. Swimming pool options. And, you know, swimming pool types. I get under one with swimming pools in it. So really straightforward stuff, but you know, that's pretty simple. It's this research that really is
drives
the
the whole
favors
outline.
up.
Yeah. All
That's
right.
what's going to give you those relevancy across the headers.
Yeah. Okay. Lots of good stuff there. Seems like a good place to kind of wrap it up. So we have our content briefs done, and then the next step, which we alluded to multiple times, is getting someone to write the damn thing. So we'll touch on content production in the next video, what that looks like, do's and don'ts, editing, just kind of, again, piecemealing together what it takes to get something written, especially following this guideline, and then ultimately porting that over to whatever CMS you're using, which in many cases is WordPress. So we'll probably end up using that as an example. But yeah, I think that's a great place to stop. A lot of good stuff in that.
Yep.
Yeah, nice work, Chris.
All right.
Good work.
Welsh Wizard does it again. I'm just gonna keep pounding that into the ground. All right.
Yep.
We'll wrap it there. All right, we'll do the content production tomorrow.
Nice one. Thanks, guys.
Nice one, guys.
Awesome. Later, fellas.
Later.